So one of the guns that came in shipment was this one here, which is a Savage Model 65M. It's in 22 Magnum, and all I'm doing here today is going to strip and refinish the stock because this varnish, hopefully the camera's picking up, is pretty worn. Like, it's pretty much bare wood here, it's chafing here, some stuff down here. So I'm just going to strip this down and refinish it as I like to do it. Of course, there's a whole bunch of different ways to skin that cat, but I have a method that I personally like, and it's been just fine. So start by tearing this down, and somebody's been in here before. That off, and that's the gun. That's where your mounting screw goes through. You got 2 pins to hold the barrel on. Your trigger assembly's a captive unit for the most part, and looks like you drift this pin out here, drift that pin, that'll drop, and then there's a screw up underneath. Take that out, mounting pin, this out, that all comes off the bottom. Very straightforward. And this is a very lightweight, thin profile. Here's the barrel for 22 Magnum, very skinny. And the gun as a whole is very light, and I quite like how it handles. Down to there. Phillips. If you hear ticking noise, I have a couple diesel heaters running. It's minus 20 out this morning with the wind chill, so anything to help take the edge off needs to happen. White one spacer there. So there's that. Screw. Force that out. Gluing on this gun is in really good shape. Somebody stirred that screw head there. Leave that on. So, what I'm going to use, I like using this stuff, it's circa 1850 super dissolver. This stuff with a regular shellac, like a Soviet shellac, the red stuff that they put on their guns for storage, this will pretty much turn it into goop, and you can just wipe it off with a rag. It does the same for any of the old Lake Fields finishes or that stuff from the late 70s and 80s. It just turns into good paint finish essentially, and that'll turn it into goop, and then you just wipe it off. Some of this more normal, I should say normal, finishes just needs a couple of minutes, and it starts working pretty good. And I have not found that this attacks metal or anything like that, which is great. It won't take the finish off of gluing or anything like that, so I'm not concerned with leaving that screw in. So just let that sit for a few minutes. Just keep it on. And what I also find is once it starts drying up, wherever it dries first, it's more of a bare spot, if you will. So like back here where I just put it on, it's already lifting this old finish off. For the initial strip, I just use some medium grit steel wool. You can see how it's lifting it right there. It's turning white. Now I'm just going to try to agitate the surface a bit with this. I'm not pushing very hard, just to try to help loosen it up a bit. And then I'm going to put more stripper on and hit it again. I always go with the grain. If you go this way, you risk scratching it. The stuff isn't that coarse, but still a risk. So, let's do that. Do it again. The thing I like about doing a chemical strip versus a sanding is I'm not removing material from the wood. I'm not scratching it up. I'm not taking any of the edges off. Like, it might be a little different in color, but this gun's also not new. And this just helps clean it up and really brings the wood back to life. Makes it pop a bit. See, it's lifting some of these pockets up, where it is a little on the heavier side. Go over it. See, it's little bits kind of turned to goop. So that's how it's looking now, and that's what it looked like. So hopefully that's coming through. And I'm just going to peel this inventory tag off. I'm just back to using a little bit of stripper. Again, I haven't touched this side yet, so I'm just going to go back over the other stuff just for good measure. Some buttstock. Stock. It's telling me to salt down here. Once I'm done steel wool, I like to go over with Scotch-Brite, green one. Essentially like a superfine steel wool, but a bit easier to on the hands and a little bit smoother. What I'm doing here is I'm putting pressure on these two sides of the barrel channel, and then as well as putting pressure on the sides. So I'm getting multiple surfaces contact, and then when I flip it, it's more on the bottom. But I can reach up and touch up if anywhere I see. I'm trying not to hit the edges. When I do, I try to sweep up so it doesn't round those off at all. Okay. That stock is extremely smooth. So next, I like to use Danish oil. I'm not plugging this company, but they do a very good material or product. Take Danish. And I'm just gonna go grab a little rag. You don't need much. That's actually a little too much. Dollop, and it just brings the wood right back. And the nice stuff about this is that it dries very quickly. So I only usually give it a couple of minutes, and then it's good to go for either another coat or a waxing. Because it's like brand new now. A brand new finish, I should say. And I just keep rubbing it in from what's on the rag into the wood. And let it sit. Yeah, that's the general process. Outside of that, I put a little bit of beeswax on it and then put it under the heat and buff that in. That's why I grabbed a spare rag. Yeah, that's dry. It's all dried up. No heavy spots, because that's why I kept rubbing, take any heavy spots off. This is still damp. You can keep rubbing it in and essentially buffing it. Yeah. Hand rub Danish oil finish. Stock's nice and smooth. A few little bumps or stuff from its history, but that's to be expected. Now the only thing that I like to do is just take a little bit of beeswax. I just found this stuff at the hardware stores. Clapham's beeswax salad bowl finish. This stuff goes a long ways too. It's not cheap, but it goes a long ways. Just grab a little bit like this. Buff it into the stock. Wrap this up a little bit. Now I'm just going to put this under one of the heater vents for a minute, and that's just going to liquefy it. I'm going to buff it back in, and it should be good to go. There it is. In no time, really. completely refinished. So now it's just a matter of putting it all back together, which won't take very long. Here. Sorry. Those two. There it is. Savage 65M 22, or sorry, Savage 65M 22 Magnum with a complete wood refinishing and essentially a hard reset. Thanks for watching.